You know, I've made videos before and I'm making one again. My tiger totem, that's my Asian astrology sign up there above behind me, um, over my left shoulder. And what I'm going to speak to you about today is something that will probably bore some of you, and some of you who don't know me or haven't known me before or new on my friends list are going to say, well, he's a boring old guy. But I have to talk about this just a little bit and see if I can get anything across to anybody. What I'm asking this time, although I put it on this morning a bit here and there, but what's wrong in a world which can spawn a Donald Trump or any other seemingly soulless dictator? I've oftentimes asked myself why it was that in a truly democratic society where people have been living by a constitution which clearly delineates each person's responsibility, fascist ideas could ever arise. And the only answer I've been able to come up with in my limited spiritual knowledge state is that the self-aware entities are too focused on the immediate material world around them rather than who they really are. If one lives in a physical reality where they are unable to recognize that the purpose of life is to learn and to accept and deal with their existence in an enlightened and charitable fashion, where they understand that interactions between individuals are the means of obtaining an understanding of life in general, then those people tend to focus too much on the material and lose sight of their true purpose. Anger and bitterness and resentment are the natural result of this isolationist type of mentality. The only remedy for this is to develop a sense of personal responsibility. We're involved in mankind. Now, for instance, as an example, what's going on right now in the Trump camp, and that a lot of people are getting excited about, and they have different opinions on this. But overall, the treatment of immigrant children by the Trump administration is and was and will be totally unacceptable. But I want to alert you to some hard facts that should be disturbing to us all and may well be the cause of our being morally prone to inertia. We've all heard this at one time or another, but we kind of choose to ignore it, or we say, well, I can't do anything about that, so why try? Some 21,000 children die every day around the world. Children, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about all the other people. That's like one child dying every 4 seconds. 14 children dying every minute. A 2011 Libya conflict scale death toll every day. A 2010 Haiti earthquake occurring every 10 days. A 2004 Asian tsunami occurring every 11 days. An Iraq scale death toll every 19 to 46 days. Just under 7.6 million children dying every year. Now, a lot of these deaths are preventable. That's the saddest part of it. Some 92 million children died between 2000 and 2010. We probably got about that many, maybe even 100 million who have died since 2010, unnecessarily. And the silent killers that I'm talking about are poverty and hunger, easily preventable diseases and illnesses, and other related causes. And despite the scale of this daily ongoing catastrophe, it rarely manages to achieve or sustain any kind of primetime headline coverage. How is it that only now, when we have this situation going along the border, and Trump wants to build his wall and is holding these kids hostage, basically, so he can get his stupid wall built, how is it that we're concerned about the fate of kids? There are foundations that help, and without them, like the charities like the Clinton Initiative. Without them, there'd be a lot more death. Excuse me. We're the world's wealthiest country, and we spend our money on war and trying to establish a space force. Space Cadet Force is what it should be with all Trump's family in it. Cadet Bone Spur should lead it, I suppose. Now, there's also fake charities, of course, like Trump's foundation, which doesn't do anything but figure out ways to funnel money tax-free to himself and his friends and relatives. But without the Clinton Initiative and other decent charities like the Salvation Army and things, like I said, the death toll would be a lot higher. We do have the ability to alleviate the suffering if we just have the will. Excuse me. No man is an island. Each person's unnecessary and preventable death diminishes us because we're involved in mankind. What I say about this thing with Trump is we need the will, not the wall. What can one person do, we all ask, in the face of such a statistical nightmare? There are no easy answers. I know, no matter how much I say, we all need to accept our own personal responsibility for the fate of our fellow humans. It just isn't so easy to do. We all need to obtain a certain amount of universal perspective. One might think that the perspective I speak of is to show how insignificant we really are in the huge universe that we exist within, or perhaps as Dr. Hawking said in his last paper before he died, in our multiverse that has unlimited potential for parallel realities. But what I'm trying to convey is how significant each of us truly is. My God, people, we're a part of something so immense as to be beyond our comprehension, at least almost beyond our comprehension, and we can really think about it. Maybe we can comprehend some of it. Yet it isn't as our purpose for living is to understand at the end of multiple existences how we fit into this magnificent all. We don't just have one shot, my friends, because whether we believe it right now or not, the number of lifetimes it will take to comprehend the immenseness of this is a number that is itself infinite. Don't be satisfied with the idea that we all live one lifetime and then are ushered into the presence of God and given all the answers, or we burn eternally in hell. Nothing in this universe is truly wasted. Lives are not, star stuff is not, learning is not, accumulated experiences are not. Each of us is a spiritual being designed by our Creator in the creative energy of our multiverse to be an unyielding information accumulator as we live multiple lives and eventually attain the knowledge to create our own universes. I know that seems like far-fetched, but it's really not when you think about it. Say, well, how could there be room for everybody to have their own universe if they eventually learn enough to create one? Well, the thing is, infinite means exactly that, infinite, without end. The creator of this universe that we happen to be in right now is sane. Not a king or a petty tyrant needing worship, and we will always be loved and valued and occasionally helped to go in the right direction, but there's no such thing as death of spirit. Life functions cease in individual incarnations, but we persist. Our knowledge enriches us and helps us progress onward. Physical reality and spiritual reality intersect occasionally, but only physical reality is finite and ends when that incarnation is no longer of use to our spiritual selves, whose existence persists eternally. Following the rules that are laid out during the time of origins, laid out by the ultimate architect of all reality. There's no anger or judgment after we pass, other than our own, as we examine each of our actions in minute detail. There's no judgment by any outside source. We have free will. We make choices. Some of those choices are going to be wrong. What we do, what we're supposed to do, what we need to do is learn from them and try not to go astray in a similar fashion in our next incarnation. And that's all we can really hope for. But that will always be enough. And there is enough in our world for everybody to have everything they need. If people will just remember that they don't need more. What do they need more for? Well, in case I need it someday. But what? You have to understand the best thing we can do is uplift one another and help and protect and defend and enrich the lives of each other. And if we do that, our lives will be enriched immeasurably too. Thanks for listening if you've stayed this long. And if you haven't, I guess it doesn't matter. Bye.